Good afternoon. I am Mary Jiang, president of the Oakland Rotary Club. Founded in 1908, we are the third oldest club among some 36,000 clubs around the world in over 200 countries. We are a diverse community of 270 business professionals and community leaders who unite to serve our local and international communities through a commitment with service above self. Thank you for joining us this afternoon in the California Ballroom and online. For over 114 years, we have welcomed Rotarians and guests to our club meetings. For those attending online, if you are a visiting Rotarian or a guest of a Rotarian, please enter your name in the chat box located at the bottom of the screen, and we will recognize you in a few minutes. If you have comments or want to ask questions of the speaker today, please use the chat box. We recommend you view today's meeting using Speaker's View, located in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Now, for our thought of the day, I'd like to welcome Rotarian Lois Corin.
Good afternoon, all. Can you hear me? Okay. My quote is from our first African-American Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. Our children are telling me now that more than ever that here in America, anything is possible. And that goes to Mary's presidency as well.
Thank you, Lois, for that inspiring thought. Everyone, please join me in reciting the Rotary Vision Statement. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Thank you. Guests are welcome to visit our club. Past District Governor and past President Ed Jelen, do we have any visiting Rotarians today?
Hello, President Mary. I don't think we have any visiting Rotarians. Did I miss any visiting Rotarians? Going once? Going twice? Well, I apologize, President Mary. No visiting Rotarians to report today.
Oh, okay. But we do have some guests here, so with Rotarians stand, and we recognize you. You can introduce your guest. Please introduce yourself first, your occupation, and then your guest name. Allison, would you?
Sure. Thank you, President Mary. My guest is Janani Ramachandran, who's running for District 4 council seat. She's a family law attorney, and I'm still learning about her extensive background, but if you want to find out more, you can talk to her after the meeting. Thank you, Janani.
Okay.
Ruth Straub with Farmers Insurance. I'm introducing Cedric's guest today. He's out of town, Rav Mindirata. And Rob is also a BNI member, so those who are networking from BNI chapters as well as Rotary. Welcome, Rob.
Welcome, Rob.
Oh, Rob's business is Socio Squares. He does digital marketing and software development.
Okay, I think Steve, someone give a mic to Steve. Oh.
Alex Kafka, Verdera Energy, and I am delighted to welcome on behalf of Gary Flaxman his guest, Greg Hodge, who is a practicing civil litigation attorney here in Oakland and also a candidate for mayor. Welcome, Greg.
Yeah. Okay. Steve, is somebody else? Steve, you have a mic?
Thank you. Steve Blair, a retired geologist, and I want to introduce Peter Sanny McGon. Steve Blair, retired geologist, and I want to introduce Peter Sanny McGon. And Peter is here from Cameroon, and he found this Rotary Club via the Rotary magazine because he had visited a club in his home country. So, welcome, Peter.
Okay.
Nice to have you.
Any more guests? All right, thank you. Hello? Rotary members around the world are also welcome to visit our club. Do we have any visiting Rotarian or guests online?
We do not, Mary.
No. Okay, no guests online. Thank you. All right. Today, I have the privilege of inducting our second new member of the Oakland Rotary Club, with Jake Schnecker and his sponsor, C.J. Hirschfield, join me at the lectern. C.J., would you introduce Jake with 2 interesting facts about him?
Why, yes, President Mary, I will. It is really my pleasure to introduce Jake Schonecker, Executive Director of Youth Beat, which provides free, life-changing media training and mentorship for disadvantaged Oakland high schoolers. First interesting fact, Jake graduated from Cal's journalism school and has produced documentary films about everything from Cambodia's Khmer Rouge Tribunal to Oakland's Black Girls Code for the PBS NewsHour and MSNBC, among others. Second interesting fact, music and the environment are 2 of his passions. He plays guitar, bass, piano, and sings, and loves to kayak, ski, and hike. He has 2 children, ages 2 and 6, and they are enthusiastic participants. So please welcome Jake as our newest member of Oakland Rotary.
Okay, Jake, welcome to the Oakland Rotary Club. You are joining 270 Rotarians in our club and over 1.4 million Rotarians throughout the world. Here is your red badge, which signifies your status as a new member, and you will also receive a four-way test, which guides Rotarian in daily lives as follows. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? You will also receive a handbook in this bag, Rotary Made Easy, with all information about the club, and a roster of your 270 newest best friends. Finally, you're going to receive a Rotary pin, and please wear it proudly. With this pin, you can attend the meetings of any Rotary Club in the world. Your commitment as a new member is to, number 1, attend meetings either in person or online, attend any club services, community service project, 2, 3, practice service above self, and 4, contribute to the Rotary Foundation and Oakland Rotary Endowment. It is my pleasure and privilege to induct you as the newest member of the Oakland Rotary Club. Let's give Jake another warm welcome. All right, Lorna, could you tell us something about an upcoming ball game?
Good afternoon, President Mary and fellow Rotarians and guests. I'm here on behalf of Tom Lamone to promote our upcoming Oakland A's, who have actually been doing quite well since the All-Star break. Go A's! Go A's! Against the New York Yankees. Boo! So it's going to be a wonderful game on August 28th. The game begins at 1 p.m., and there's also a very special tailgate at 11 a.m. The tailgate is not your normal hot dog fare. It's going to include Spanish paella and a taco bar, plus President Dudley is going to be mixing drinks. That alone is worth coming out for. You all should have received an email from Dudley, from Tom, with a QR code on how to purchase tickets. I highly encourage you, Tom gives a lot of time and effort to this. Please come out and support him. Let's make sure we've got a full group to support the A's and support Oakland Rotary. So go A's.
Thank you, Lorna, for that announcement. And you could buy tickets through the link that Tom sent to everyone. Joe, could you give us an update about the Environment Committee?
Well, hello, everyone. This is just to let you know what is coming this year through the Environment Committee that I hope you all will be a part of. But we're going to focus on three general areas. One is going to be environmental grants, where we're going to request RFPs from environmental and conservation organizations that Rotary can support. Second is education programming. We'll have 4 or 5 speakers this year that will hopefully highlight the environment and different challenges to it, as well as an occasional, as time allows, a little 3-minute piece in the business meeting whenever that's possible. But then the third thing is an Earth Day project where we can all get our hands dirty and go out and really do something directly for our own community and our own environment. So the goal is that we as Rotarians move closer to being carbon neutral as soon as possible. So I want you all to be starting to think about that. We don't need to go any further than 104 degrees in London, global wildfires, and what's happening right now in Kentucky to realize that there is an urgency and time is shorter than we thought. So, and also I'd like to point out that if you haven't gotten your Rotary magazine yet, there are actually 30, internationally there are 30 eco clubs, Rotary clubs that are being set up with a central theme of ecology and the ecosystem. And so that is showing clearly a movement within Rotary itself. I hope everyone is welcome. You're all welcome to join our Environment Committee. Please be a part of it. I think the time for change in how we actually live, just modify it, is now. So thank you, President Merritt.
Joe? Thank you, Joe, for that update on environmental. I think as more information comes out, all of us should play a big role in making us being carbon, what's that? You know what I'm saying? Okay, neutral, that's the word, okay. All right, I have another Mary's Fun Facts today, how's that? The term 57 varieties has proudly appeared on Heinz ketchup bottles for over a century. But did you know that that number apparently has nothing to do with the brand? Huh? Like many other people, I was always under the assumption that 57 varieties mean that the brand offered, 57 varieties of condiments. Seems logical, right? Well, according to a recent CNN article, they said there weren't 57 Heinz variety when founder H.J. Heinz first came up with the slogan back in 1896. Instead of counting up all the actual numbers of varieties his company made, which was really 60 at the time, Heinz decided to fudge it a bit. He picked his own lucky number, which was 5, And then he asked his wife, what is your lucky number? And she said, 7. And so he put them together and came up with 57 varieties, a slogan he wrote out in his company. Although the company sold more than 57 products, they concentrate on emphasizing 57 so that this famous catchy number has stuck around throughout more than a century of different advertising campaigns and changes to Heinz packaging. And the slogan worked. People still remember 57 varieties, and it's catch the eye. Just like you hear 31 flavor of Baskin-Robbins, those numbers seems to click. So anyway, that's the fun facts for today. All right, let's welcome Gary Flaxman, who will introduce today's speaker, and they will do an interview format, so you would also move to the center. Thank you.
So, thank you, Mary. I am really more than honored to present today's speaker, Dr. Jamal Fields. And he's going to tell us about himself, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but the key thing here that I'd like to express is that because of Jack McAvoy and Hope, and him asking me to sort of step out of my comfort zone, he got me to be open to being a mentor. And as I think about things in my life, it's one of the most valuable things I've ever done. So in having Dr. Fields here to tell us about his program, IMentor program, and his history and what it took for him to get to where he is. And by the way, if you've been noticing, there's everybody here gives and enjoys giving before receiving. So some of us may not know that we're Rotarians, but we actually are in what we do in life. All right, and having said that, here's Dr. Fields. So the first question is to tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
That was an easy one, right? Thank you for having me here today. It's my pleasure to be able to come before you and talk a little bit about our program. And as Gary started off by mentioning, being a mentor is something that allows you to give to somebody, but I have to say, every mentor I've met has told me that they got more from the experience than their mentee. Now that may or may not be true, but the feeling is genuine. It is something that offers an opportunity for both the mentor and the mentee to both benefit from the experience. So Gary's question is a little bit about my history. I grew up with a single mom raising 3 kids who was struggling with some health issues. And like many single moms, she filled our house with joy and love. And we didn't notice the economic situation that we were in. It wasn't a factor. But when my mom passed, I was fairly young, and school wasn't very important for me. It wasn't something that I was excited about or interested in. And if it weren't for the adults who didn't have to, but who cared about me and paid attention to me, asked me questions, kept me going, and kept interest in my progress, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish what I have today. So I graduated from high school. I went to UC Santa Cruz, had a wonderful experience there, and became, it was something that, for me, I didn't like school. It's a dirty little secret. I later became a teacher and a principal and an associate superintendent and all kinds of leadership roles around education. And boy, I tell you, after kindergarten, I really didn't care for school much until I got to become an adult and got to select for myself. So kindergarten was great. I got to color, I got to draw, read books, be with my friends. It was all the things I loved to do, and it was a wonderful experience. Junior high and high school, not so much sometimes. And like I said, if it weren't for the adults in my life who kept pushing and helping me and supporting me when I fell down or failed, I don't think I would have made it on to go to UC Santa Cruz. And then I later became a teacher. And as a teacher, there was a woman who was a principal and an associate superintendent in San Francisco where I was working, who came to me and after seeing me teach and we developed a relationship, she said, you know, Jamal, I really think that you could be a principal. And there's this program at UC Berkeley that I think you should apply for.
I hadn't been thinking that way myself. I hadn't seen in myself a future of graduate school. It was just not something on my radar. But when this person who I respected asked me about it and encouraged me, it made me apply. And I ended up getting in. I was in the first cohort of the Principals Leadership Institute at UC Berkeley. I was trained as a principal and earned my master's degree and a administrative credential. So I went on to become a principal, and as a principal, I had a boss who came to me and said, you know, I think that you have some future in education. I said, no, I did my master's and it was horrible. It took me forever to finish my thesis, and I remember, you know, just the pain of that experience somewhat. And but she said, you know, I think you have you know, doctoral potential. And I blew it off for 15 or 20 years. I was a principal at many different schools throughout the Central Valley, and ended up at some point it was sticking in my head. That thing that she'd said in an off-cuff kind of comment stuck with me. And I eventually saw a program at Harvard for an education leadership doctorate. I applied, I got in, and I was successful in completing that program. But all of those steps in the way were things that I never would have done without the encouragement of adults in my life who didn't need to be there. It wasn't a parent telling me what I needed to do. It wasn't someone who, you know, had an obligation to support me. It was someone who did so because they wanted to give back something. They wanted to contribute to my life, and they did by encouraging me, by helping me, and doing as so many of you do, picking me up when I fell down and encouraging me to go on. So that's kind of the education story I have. I started off as a kid who loved kindergarten, nothing more after that, but ended up going a long way in the education field and eventually attaining a doctorate degree. That's my education story.
Right. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I didn't realize that kindergarten is a mile marker, you know. So next question is about well, your organization, IMentor. It's a national organization, so tell us about really what really the whole dynamic of what they do nationally, locally, and really ultimately how we can help as far as local.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, IMentor is a national organization. Started around 20 years ago with 49 students in the New York City School District. And today, we've come a long way, and now we serve over 3,000 students per year, 9,000 students per year, setting them up with a mentor who's a college-educated mentor to help them through the process of graduating from high school and then achieving their post-secondary ambitions. So now we start off in New York, as I mentioned. Now there are local, regional IMentor areas in the Bay Area here, Chicago, Baltimore, and New York. And as I said, we now serve over 9,000 students every year. Here in the Bay Area, our region started in 2016 and has served, started off in San Jose and in Oakland. And now we are serving Oakland Unity High School. You may have known them in Oakland. A wonderful school, an amazing place. We are partnered with them. We partner with public high schools, and we match each student in the 11th grade with a one-on-one mentor. That mentor stays with them. We ask for a 2-year commitment to stay with them until they graduate. And then here's the dirty little secret. It's not really dirty, and it's not really a secret, but after those 2 years, we ask folks if they'd like to re-up and continue with their mentor. And over 85% of our mentors and mentees continue with that relationship into college, which is a really critical factor. That 4 years, as you know from your experience in mentoring, Gary's told me some of his experiences and what Rotary's done, the long-term personal relationships is really what it's all about. Getting to know that student one-on-one, where your only interest is in helping them to succeed. And having that kind of person in your background behind you as you're working your way through school is an invaluable asset. Most of our students will be first-generation college graduates, and they really appreciate and can benefit from having someone who's been through that process, applied to college, gotten in, overcome all the challenges and obstacles that everyone who goes to college has, is just a really amazing asset for them. So as I said, we're partnered up. We partner up with the school, we match all of their 11th graders. They go on to 12th grade, they stay in their match. We match all of their 11th graders again, and we continue with that cycle to continue supporting all of their 11th and 12th graders. And one of the things that we do, our program is really unique. We have a component, we put a full-time staff member into the school that we pay for to help they run a weekly class with all of the students in which they learn those skills that they'll need to be successful in getting into college or whatever they choose to do in their post-secondary process. And then they have a weekly meeting where they write to their mentor about particular topics that we organize. Then they have a monthly meeting where we get everybody together and the mentors and the mentees build their relationship and work on those tasks that the students need to do to finish to graduate and to get ready for their post-secondary ambitions. And it's really a beautiful thing when we get them together. As we all know, the last few years have been crazy. It's been a struggle to get people together through Zoom and all of those things. But the reality that we've seen is when we get the kids together with their mentor, the relationship builds in a really organic, genuine way. They support each other, and like I said, the mentors end up saying they got more from the experience than the mentees. Now, we also know that that's not true. We think that it's very important to have a mentor and that they do add a huge value to the student's life. And we see that in our results. Our kids are very successful in getting in. They are more successful than kids in comparable groups. They graduate on time. They start school, a college career right after high school, and then they persist and stay through it with the support of our mentors. So one of the things that I'm doing, I'm really relatively new to the organization. It's been about a year, and we are really seeking to find more school partners that we can team up with and to provide those services in their school for the entire school. So that's a little bit about our organization.
All right. So there's so many things coming through my mind, like there's a lot of resistance. You think, okay, what am I extending myself to? But if you sort of think about it, the easiest role in life is to be an uncle or a grandpa. All you do is just jump in and give advice, and that's it. As soon as there's a meltdown, you're out of there. All right. So as far as the sort of aspiration for guiding the kid, if ultimately college isn't right for them, how do you support like trade schools and sort of alternative educational avenues?
Yeah, it's a great question. We recognize that not all students, the path to success is not always a direct line through college. And many of our students would like to take a gap year or do something in between, or maybe they don't even intend to go on to a four-year college. And we recognize that and we support those students as well. We have what we call a Pro Pathways program, which provides students with opportunities to find out about careers. We want to make sure that if they graduate from high school and they're not intending to go on to a college or a university, that they have a plan that will provide them with a living wage and a way to make a living that's useful and that for them is rewarding. And so that's a really important part of our program. And we do that by connecting with organizations and corporations that have internships or other career opportunities. We often have career panels. We do a summer opportunity fair to give kids some options where they can find jobs that actually will lead to something more, has a really high end. There's no limit to where they can go, but that has a low bar for entry so that they are able to enter into those occupations and careers seamlessly, get a good job that actually pays them enough for them to make a living, which we all know is very difficult here in the Bay Area, but we do support that 100%. It's something that's really important to us, and I think it's a key component of our program. I want to go back a little bit. Gary mentioned that, it's a little daunting to think you're going to be responsible for a student's success after high school, and that's really not what it is. We support our mentors completely throughout the process with weekly opportunities, a very structured program on their interactions, how to build the relationship, and then we're taking care of all of the things that they need to do. The mentor's role is, as Gary said, it's like an uncle or a grandfather or an auntie to keep talking to them, to encourage them, to ask them how they're doing. when they come up with a problem, we don't expect our mentors to have the solution, to know about financial aid or the college admissions process. We have them there to say, hey, that sounds like a horrible situation, a really serious dilemma. Let's see what we can do to figure it out. How can we work through this? And to work through it directly with the student, which is really makes it a little easier, less of a daunting and less of a big responsibility. We really support our mentors throughout the process so that they can be really effective in their work with kids.
All right. Another thing is, so I found, so Jamal and I were talking about when I was involved with my mentees' high school experience. I thought, well, this is great. I can get Jamal into McClymonds. And then the barriers, the resistance from McClymonds and the, almost like, it's like they're protecting themselves. They're in a silo. And so to penetrate into that and to also, once you are in the environment, you find that there's a lot of resistance for change. They're in an environment that they're comfortable with and used to. With my sister Laura and the school that she was involved with, it was really mind-blowing the resistance that you get from the families about going to higher education, because now you're old enough to work for the business, and so there's actually a lot of pushback. Even though they do get into school, it turns out that there's it's wild the resistance and where it comes from and why. So having said that, we're I think maybe opening up the floor to some questions from the audience, and I think maybe you'll get an idea for who's here and how they can help, and maybe you can offer up ways that you're looking for us to help you.
Lois, would someone give a mic? Okay, Alex, you got the mic. So go ahead.
Thank you, President Mary. Alex Kafka, Verdera Energy. Dr. Fields, thank you so much for your remarks. Personally, it's just lovely to hear about this program here in Oakland, where we live and work, and also just generally across the country in important, large cities. As you know, here at Oakland Rotary, we do a lot of mentorship. A number of our programs are youth-focused, and we do, mentorship. One-on-one mentorship is really kind of an important part of that. Do you have any words of advice to offer in training our mentors and kind of helping our mentors be successful in their relationships with their students?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. We do spend a lot of time in thinking about and training our mentors. And one of the things that we focus on, many of our mentorships are across lines of difference. And we really want to make sure that our mentors are equipped and comfortable working across lines of difference. And so we spend a good deal of time thinking about that, training folks on how to take a positive attitude and to work from a strengths-based relationship. And so to not think about their work with their mentee as something where they are needing to save them or anything like that. This is really about supporting them and building on the skills and interests that the mentees have. The kids do all the work. They're the ones that are doing getting good grades in school, doing their homework, taking their tests, getting prepared for life after high school. The mentor's role is really one of support, as I mentioned earlier. And so we really focus on how to do that in a very positive and forward-focused way. And I think that's one of the keys of our program and any mentoring program. It's funny, Gary told me a little bit about his experience as a mentor, and we have lots of mentors across the city, and I would love to tell a quick story about one of those mentors, and there's kind of a connection and a tie-in in the end. So we're a part of the Warriors Foundation. We're a grantee, and they wrote to me and said, hey, we're honoring mentors this month, and we'd like to get a nomination from you of a mentor we could have come to one of the games. And so we have a mentor named MG who's great. He does wonderful work. Him and his mentor, mentee Edgar, are a really tight pair. So we said, sure, absolutely, and we'd love to send him. So MG says, oh, great, that's really exciting. And he finds out that they get a luxury box. And they offer him 2 tickets, and he's excited about this. but he doesn't invite his significant other or a friend who loves the Warriors. He invites his mentee. Perfect, right? Good move. But not only that, he finds out he's going to be in a luxury box, and he says to the Warriors, he reaches out to them and says, hey, thank you very much, but do you think I could get another ticket for my other mentee? And I didn't even know he had another mentee, and it was kind of surprising. And, I was like, wow, pretty bold to ask for another ticket to this game, but he did. And they said, yes, of course, we'd be happy to allow your other mentee to go. So he invites his other mentee. They all go. Turns out his other mentee is named Edgar as well. We're talking to him. He gets awarded out on the court at halftime. It's a beautiful event. And in talking to MG, I say, well, you have these two mentors. How does that work out with two mentees? He said, so it's no problem. I don't do anything. I'm just their support. So it's an easy fit. A couple days later, MG is telling me about this event, saying how great it was, and tells me about this other mentee. And I ask him, I said, who's this other mentee? And he said, oh, it's Edgar. Turns out he's mentored through the college promise, the Oakland promise. And I said, oh, that's wonderful. What an amazing thing. A month or two later, I'm hiring for a new program manager to work with the students at a school. And we have this wonderful candidate named Edgar, and he's amazing, and he's from the neighborhood, and he says he has a history of being a mentee. And it's all wonderful, and we end up hiring him. The next day, MG calls me up and says, hey, you just hired my other mentee. He hadn't even told us. He hadn't even shared with us that he had, a connection to our organization. Turns out both of those mentees, Edgar, the older one, has just graduated from UC Berkeley. He got there and he attributes his success. Yes, that's good. He attributes his success in part to his work with MG, his mentor. So then we're even further. I'm like, okay, that's great. What a wonderful connection. Now we have his one mentee there. His other mentee, the younger Edgar, now knows the older Edgar. He wants to go to UC Berkeley. He's getting into UC Berkeley. So next year he'll be with UC. Pretty amazing. I said to MG, great track record. You're going to get all your kids into Berkeley? And of course he laughed and said, no, it was all on them. He just got really lucky with good mentees.
Okay. Next, Lois, you have a mic.
Sorry about that. My name's Lois Korn, and I am the longest-standing mature individual trying to get a special education degree at Holy Name, so that's my story. I have a shout-out to you on those stories. So I have a question and then two unsolicited suggestions. My question is, with the challenge to affirmative action that your cousin spread across the country in terms of going to state schools, I was curious as to how that works. Although you're talking about people going to UC Berkeley, so that makes me happy as heck. And by the way, I have a brunette of my own from UCLA. And my unsolicited advice is the story you just told, I think that should be some sort of brochure or poster or whatever. And I'm a Stanford Cardinal, and my sister friend over there, Anyway, my suggestion from that is that students that are low income and first generation have their own organization, which we all support, and they have just become proud of the fact that this is where they are. They're not tripping on the fact that there's a different kind of history about the university, but they engage each other, they reach out to other people. So I'm thinking that if you had a FLY's, first generation low income program for parents, to let them understand that this is a really big thing, and although you don't want your child to go away because of your concerns about that, but this is really going to benefit your entire family. So thank you for listening, and I might need a job one day if I ever get out of graduate school.
Excellent, and thank you for the wonderful advice.
Okay. We have a mic behind you.
Hello, everybody, and congratulations, Mary. It's great to be in the house. Thank you for coming. I have two questions. One is your growth plans. You're in Oakland in one school. Does that mean you're going to go to other schools? You're going to other cities in the Bay Area? So your growth plan, I'd be interested in that. The second thing is, and I have to say go Bears, sorry about Stanford, but we have a thing here at Rotary, and gotta go Bears. Anyway, since I went to Cal. Question is, in our mentorship program, we have the HOPE program, we have kind of a C-level entry mark. Rising stars will always typically rise. So I'm curious in what is the level of students that you take onto your program, because the rising stars typically rise, and are you working with the kids that are in jeopardy?
Thank you. Excellent question. My grandfather went to Stanford, and so he was horrified. He had passed by the time I got to Berkeley, but I'm sure rolled over in his grave when I did. So I heard the hissing, and the rivalry remains strong. Yes. Our growth plan is absolutely focused on Oakland and the East Bay. We are looking for school partners to team up with, and we are absolutely interested in growing our impact here in Oakland. So if you have connections with any of the schools, as Gary has mentioned, McClymonds, I'm happy to be connected and talk with any of the school leadership or district folk that would be interested in partnering with us. We are extremely excited about developing further partnerships. So that's part of that. You asked about who we serve. One of the really critical key components of our program is that we serve every single student. And sometimes many of them think, oh, I'm not trying to go to college, that wasn't in my plan. And that's okay, because we are also, as I mentioned earlier, helping to find them jobs or careers that don't require a college education. But I think it's really a key component to be serving all kids, because all of the kids in 11th grade are talking about and thinking about post-secondary plans. All of them have a mentor that is also encouraging them to pursue and think about what it would take for them to go on to a college or university. Many of our students start with a community college with the intent to transfer, and because we continue to support them, we try and make that a streamlined and smooth process. As many of you know, community colleges are an incredibly wonderful asset for kids who might not have the funding to go to a university or maybe even the grades. But if you are really determined and you have some direction and you go to a community college, it can be a huge advantage, save a ton of money, and get you into the college or university that you wanted to get into, despite how you might have been performing in high school. Many of our students don't, I was one of them. I didn't realize what I wanted to do until I had already made that bed, so to speak. And I think that that's one of the things that we really appreciate, and we try and support kids in. Wherever they are in their journey, we want to help them to be successful in that next step, whether it's community college, a four-year college, a private or a public school, or a career. It's really important to us to support them in those areas. Thank you for your question.
Okay. Lorna, I guess our last question.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your comments today. As a beneficiary of group mentoring through Junior Achievement, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. My question is, so you mentioned partnering with local high schools, and as longtime board chair and board member of Boys and Girls Clubs of Contra Costa, a lot of the youth-serving organizations like Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., and the others who serve youth throughout often have a group mentoring model. And you probably know there's a lot of funding through OJP that supports the individual one-on-one mentoring process. My frustration with a lot of nonprofits is they all want to reinvent the wheel on their own. Are you able, or have you considered partnering with other youth-serving organizations that are doing the group mentor model to help train them to provide the services and the support, or to collaborate and leverage to do the one-on-one mentoring model?
Excellent question, and I share that same frustration. One of the things, I'm part of the Northern California College Coalition, Promise Coalition, and it's a thing that we are all trying to get together. But we absolutely do. We have a partner program. We work with the Big Brothers, Big Sisters programs across the country, working with them, providing our platform that helps support the connections and the communication between the mentors and the mentees. I used to work for the Boys and Girls Club of the Peninsula not very many years ago, and we're trying to think about how we can team up with them. I ran their college access programs and high school programs, and we're trying to work with them and other Boys and Girls Clubs and other organizations to see how we can support their mentoring programs as well. So absolutely, I think it's an important thing. We can't serve everybody through our model. We want to serve everybody in some way, shape, or form and provide that support that mentors need. Thank you for your question.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any question online, Peter?
Yeah, thank you, President Mary. Will Hobbs asks, are mentees supported following graduation in their field of choice?
Excellent question. Yes. Like I said, we asked for a 2-year commitment from mentors. They all, generally 85% or more, re-up, and we support those students 2 years through after their graduation, if not more. And for sure, throughout their, in their career paths and things that they are pursuing afterwards. Yes.
Okay.
We got one more here, Mary.
One
if
more
you could.
question, all right.
Robert Rayburn asks, Bart's Summer Intern Mentor Program restarted this year with only 12 high school community college students versus 50. How has pandemic impacted IMentor?
Yeah, the pandemic has had a huge impact. For the last couple of years, many of our activities have transitioned to be remote and done through Zoom. We were able to continue the support and the one-on-one relationships, but it has been great that last year in the spring we were able to get back into in-person sessions since schools were in session. So the pandemic definitely had an impact. It also impacted our ability to recruit mentors because people were moving or feeling not as stable and didn't know if they could make that kind of commitment. Which really brings me to my ask for you all. My colleague Chelsea in the back here is available. We are always looking for folks who would be interested in becoming mentors. And I mentioned the commitment is for 2 years, a monthly writing component, or a monthly in-person component, and a weekly writing component. It's really, it sounds like a lot, but it's really low lift, and it's something that you'll look forward to in those days. And you can talk to Chelsea in the back if you're interested. But the other thing is that we also are happy to come out, give informational sessions if maybe your organization or your business has folks that might be interested, we'd be happy to come out and talk to them about that commitment and see if they would like to partner. And then of course, connecting me and us with any of the schools that you think might benefit, or other organizations, to your question, we would love to talk to them and happy to work with lots of partners. We just want to make sure that the kids get the support they need.
Thank you. Jamal, thank you for that wonderful presentation. Oakland has made a promise to every child in our city to provide them with the resources to succeed in the higher education and career of their choice. In recognition of your interview presentation today, Oakland Rotary will make a donation in your name to the Oakland Promise to support our kindergarten to college program for every child in our city. Thank you very much.
Mary?
Yeah, do we have any bell ringers? Isaac, so give him a mic.
There we go. Hi there, everybody. Isaac Costry, Chair of the Public Image and Communications Committee. Very excited to be here. Please follow us on your favorite social media platform. I would like to ring the bell for not only John and Ramachandran, who joined us as a candidate in District 4, but also Greg Hodge, who joined us here as a candidate for Oakland Mayor, and Kevin Jenkins, who is a candidate out in D6. It's hard to run for office. It's even harder to serve in office. And I think, though they missed the early introductions, I would like to recognize them and invite you all to connect with them in case you live in District 4 or District 6 or anywhere in the great city of Oakland. Thank you.
Is that 3 bell ringer?
For you, Mary, I'll make it 3.
3, okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Ruth? Okay, with Jack McAvoy. All right. Allison?
Thank you, President Mary. I want to just say that I saved up the money to ring the bell because of David Douglas, who gives us this very discounted parking. Thank you, David. I've never met you, but thank you. And I'm ringing the bell on behalf of Gary Flaxman, who's the most devoted, focused mentor that I have ever met in my life. He's amazing.
Okay, 2 bells, 1 more. Okay, all right. So a bell ringer, for those who Dr. Few doesn't know. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mary,
Oh, Gary.
right up here on stage. I also I want to thank Dr. Fields for being here. I also want to thank Greg is here not because he's running for mayor, but because he used to be school board president. I thought that this would be very valuable, and I'd like to ring the bell for really just all the support and the just the exposure that I got here to make this very valuable.
Okay. Okay, Shannon, somebody.
I just want to ring the bell because I'm around such awesome people.
All right. So, a bell ringer is a generous tax-deductible donation of $100 to our Oakland Rotary Endowment. And so, you have been very generous, and this helps our program. So thank you very much. So now, one more, Ed.
Yeah, thank you, President Mary. I was looking at the calendar this week, and it turns out that I joined this wonderful club 25 years ago on Sunday. So I'd like to ring the bell.
All right. Happy anniversary. Diane?
The last bell. Is Joe still here?
Joe Garaka just left.
He just left? Joe and Martha leave for a month in Africa on Monday to visit their friend Peter. Joe says, I'm worried. I've never been away from home that long, but they're such dear friends, so Jesse and I will ring the bell for Joe and Martha's trip and their safe return.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any bell ringer online? Okay, none. All right. Well, Jay and CJ Hurstfield, please proceed to the back of the room so that Rotarian can greet you as you leave today. Next week's speaker, Isaac Cosry. Would you tell us about next week's speaker?
Yeah, unfortunately, I know way too much about next week's speaker because he's my brother. Indeed. My brother, Jonathan Koss-Reed, better known by his stage name in China, Cao Cao, is the most famous foreign actor in China and has since become a huge social media influencer on Douyin and other platforms in China. And he's going to be speaking to us about how that all came to be. And welcome you all to join us, and please spread the word. It's going to be really fun and interesting.
Okay. Okay. So, at this point, I'd like to say thank you, Lois, for the thought for the day, Jake, for joining us as a new member, Joe, for an update of the Environmental Committee, Lorna for the baseball announcement, Gary for introducing this week's speaker, Dr. Jamal Fields for the wonderful presentation, and the production team for managing the meeting. Next week, August the 4th, is a Zoom-only meeting. Do not come here next week. You won't get any fortune cookies. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone online next week. So share, which means thank you, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.